You're listening to English Academy, Platzi's English podcast. Learn about different topics as you improve your English listening skills. Join Platzi and have access to courses on product design, audiovisual production, data science, business, English, marketing, and more. Enjoy this week's episode.
Welcome to English in Action, a podcast by Platzi English Academy. I'm Andres, course director here at Platzi. You can go to platzi.com/goals and take this week's free class. In this episode, I have invited Ravi, my colleague course director, and we will be talking about how to set realistic goals for a new year that is starting. First of all, welcome to this episode and thank you very much for accepting the invitation, Ravis.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope you're well. Andrew, it's good to be back. A big hello to everyone listening to this episode. And like I said, it's lovely to be here and talk about all these goal setting process, looking back on 2022 and looking forward to 2023.
All right, Ravi. So let's get started. So 2023 is just around the corner. And I know it's the perfect time to recap what we did during this year and, most important, set what we want to achieve for the next 12 months. So let's start by analyzing how we reached the goals we set for 2022 at the beginning of the year and what we learned from all the process. So Ravis, do you want to share some of your goals of this year of 2022? And what can you tell us about the process to achieve them?
Right. So let's look at 2022. It was a very big year. We were just coming out of the pandemic, and lots and lots of things going on at work. By that I mean Platzi. But in looking back at my goals, I had a few goals, very clear goals. But the two main goals I had, the first one is more kind of professional goal that I had, which was growing in my current position at Platzi. So I had been in my position as an English teacher in Platzi for about a year, right? And it was time to grow. It was time to kind of move into kind of something bigger, something different, something more challenging. So that was the goal that I had in my mind. And the second goal was more personal goal, and that was working on my mental and physical health while working from home. So as you know, a lot of our listeners would know this, that Platzi is a remote first company, and I work here from my home in Canada. So sometimes when you work from home, it gets difficult to look after your physical and mental health. So that was one of my biggest goals. And if you ask me about the process, the way I kind of achieved these goals was, for the professional goal of growing in Platzi, first thing I did was spoke to my leader. I went and spoke to him and I said, look, this is my goal. Where can we begin? And what can we do? And with that, we started looking at the opportunities and what was needed in the team at that time. And I started working on a plan. There was an action plan that we created, and we started taking steps based on that action plan. And then in roughly 5 months, I was in my new position of a course director. So from English teacher to a course director position, which is what I do right now. I'm a course director, and in Platzi English Academy, and I work with Andres, right? So we are colleagues.
with this person here.
Exactly, like the host of this amazing podcast episode. And the second one, what was the process of working on my mental and physical health? Well, you know what? It was quite straightforward, actually. Lots of common sense. I did watch some videos on YouTube to kind of, look at things that I can do from the comfort of my home and some things I can do from outside. Again, I made a plan, for my mental health and physical health. I joined the gym. I'm regular on it. I try to work out at least 4 days a week. I watch my diet. I'm a big believer in like a protein-based diet. So that's what I do, for my mental health and physical health. But yeah, those are like my two big goals. What about you, Andres?
Well, Ravis, first of all, congratulations for for achieving these goals. I mean, they sounded really cool. And I think, for example, the one with physical health is a very common objective that many people have, but just a few achieve. Actually, I have to confess that working remotely, as you mentioned, you get, to not pay enough attention to your physical health. And that was one of my goals for this year, but I didn't achieve. And it was really hard, and it's kind of fun because, let's say 4-6 years ago, I was very active. I was hitting the gym like 4 or 5 times a week. But ever since I started studying and working, then just working remotely, I have to say that I just got lazy. And that is something that I need to fight. And that is actually one of my goals for 2023. But we're going to be talking about that later on. But on the other hand, talking about my goals for this year was traveling abroad. I had never traveled abroad in my life. So this year I set that plan at the beginning of the year, January. So we decided with my girlfriend, like, hey, we need to travel abroad in a couple of months, in 6 months, 7 months approximately. And we just set like this savings plan. So monthly, we were saving money. So we had enough money to pay our trip without getting into a debt. You know what I mean? It's like having all the money, all the budget, all the necessary budget for the trip. And we made it. We went to Mexico in June this year. And that was really nice. Not only the experience, but also that feeling of, hey, I'm enjoying all this time off, traveling abroad, getting to know a new culture, and I'm not getting into a debt. I'm just, paying with my savings.
Right. Very important.
Also, I had this dream ever since I was a child, and it was related to music. Since I was a child, I wanted to play the drums. And I was just, getting lots of excuses during the last few years about, hey, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money. And then just one day I decided, you know what? I'm gonna pay for a drumming course.
Right.
And I just went there. I went straight to the school and I paid. Like, hey, I want to start classes right now. Well, not right now, like the following week. And yeah, I made it. I just take the basic level of drumming, and it was awesome. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. And yeah, really, really happy. I mean, and the idea is it's not stopping there. Like, I really need to continue. Like, I need to set that plan as a priority, let's say, for next year. Like, hey, this personal goal needs to be as one of my priorities for 2023. And I think that's an important aspect. Or what do you think, Raf? It's like, setting these goals is not only about, hey, I need time, of course, I need money, but also it needs to be one of my priorities. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look back on your goals that you were talking about, you first mentioned one goal that you didn't achieve, right? Which was like your physical health related goal, right? And then you mentioned the other 2 goals that you did achieve, which was the travel and then the drums, right? Now, if you kind of just like analyze those 3 goals, the main difference between the ones that you achieved and the ones you didn't is basically execution, right? And when I say execution, we're talking about, you said we had a savings plan in place to pay for this travel, right? That is what a roadmap, like an action plan. And the other one, the drums, was just, it doesn't need any planning. It just needs execution. Sometimes we just need to do it, right? It's the first step. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. You have to just do it. If you don't do it, then it will be more and more painful. So you've got to realize which goal needs an action plan and then which goal needs just pure execution, right? And I guess there are other things you can do as well. So one thing that I always look at is try to make my goals and even my objectives SMART. And when I say SMART, SMART is like an abbreviation where S stands for specific. So your goals need to be specific. If you just say I need to I need to work on my physical health, but what does that mean? Be more specific. I need to go to the gym, right? I need to join a yoga class. That's more specific, right? Moving on to M. So SMART, SM. M is for measurable. Can you measure this, right? So let's say you go to the yoga class. I will go to yoga class 4 days a week. Now that is did I go 4 times a week? No, I went 2 times. So that's clearly measurable, right? So we have S and M. And then A is achievable. So what is achievable? Is it possible, for example? If you say, I will go to yoga class 14 times a week. Okay. Yes.
That was me at the beginning.
and I think this is where like the crux of the matter is, the real kind of pain point for many people, including myself. I mean, I'm not immune to this. Where we set unrealistic goals for ourselves. We set unachievable goals for ourselves, and then we are setting ourselves up for failure even before we begin, right? So you've got to be like really sort of understanding and easy on yourself. Like, okay, I cannot go to the yoga class 14 times a week. That's just crazy. Or I cannot be a NASA astronaut in 2023. You know, I would love to, right? But I cannot. But I can grow in my position in Platzi. That's completely achievable, right? So we have S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable. Then we're going into R, right? SMART. R in SMART stands for realistic. That is very similar to achievable. Like I said, if your goal is like, I want to be a scientist working in CERN in Switzerland, great, you know, is it realistic in 1 year? I don't think so, right? And the last one is T, SMART. T is for timing or your deadlines. Every goal that you kind of set for yourself, it needs a deadline. It needs a time. So again, you know, I will go to yoga classes for 4 times a week until the next July. All right, that's a deadline. And then I will reevaluate. So then you have like this, you have a SMART goal or a SMART objective. So maybe something that, you know, you can do and our listeners can do. Maybe some of you knew about this. I don't know. What do you think, Andres?
Yeah, I was actually taking notes about this. It was something that I had heard before about the SMART goals, and yeah, I see how can like each aspect can help us in that process when achieving our goals. So it's like first. As I was saying, like I was not kidding actually. Like at the beginning of the year, it's like, hey, I'm just going to go to the gym, you know, like hit it for 2 hours a day, you know. But it's
completely
like,
unrealistic.
All right, that is not realistic. I mean, it worked for me like during the first 2 weeks, but after that, I just got tired. It's like
it's just too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Like wow. I mean, I think I'm not doing this, and just little by little. You just leave it aside, and you get to have excuses not to do so.
But on the other hand, if you just say, okay, I'm going to do half an hour, you know, 4 times a week, I mean, that's more sustainable.
Exactly. Sustainable for your body in terms of this goal related to physical health, and also for your mind. Because, you know, like sometimes you can get bored or you can get frustrated. Like, no, you know what? This is too much for me. I think I'm just gonna go and watch a movie on Netflix.
Yeah, you get demotivated very easily when you have unrealistic, unachievable goals. You know, you get demotivated.
Exactly. And you know, now I realize, like, for example, with the drumming classes, I just took them once a week. It was for an hour. very, reasonable. And I had the time. I had 1 hour a week for it. And at the end, I made it. Like, okay, it's like, wow, I made it. I was like 10 weeks in a row taking classes.
Cool.
And I mean, that worked because I think it was very realistic, very smart goal.
There you go.
I would say it was. So, Ravis, now that we've talked about what aspects to take into account when thinking about our goals for this new year, for 2023, would you like to share some of those objectives of yours for the upcoming 12 months?
Yeah. And this is something that I kind of like, it's almost weird for me because I don't see like a point in setting objectives at the end of the year for the next year. I think we should be setting objectives throughout the year, So this kind of whole idea of New Year's resolution to me is more like a marketing propaganda that companies use to like, hey, come to the gym. Gyms are full of people. Let me tell you, never ever buy a gym membership in January. You will pay too much money.
I paid that in January
exactly.
this year.
Exact. Side note, do not go to the gym, join a gym in January because same goes for many other subscription services. Like, don't do that because it might be costly because of the New Year's resolution. So I think we should be setting objectives, refining our objectives throughout the year. We should not wait for the last week of December to set objectives for the new year. Now, having said that, there's nothing wrong in doing it. I mean, everybody has these ideas that they want to achieve in next year. My two kind of big goals, let's say, for next year, for now at least, because they might be refined. Okay. Number one, I have some personal investment goals. When I say that, we are heading into a global kind of recession right now, right? That's the reality of the situation. So, number one, it's going to be a good time to invest if you are kind of, if you are aware of where to invest. So if you pick your investment portfolio properly, then you can have a good deal on your investments. That's number one. So I want to do that. I have already started doing it. No Bitcoins for me, no crypto for me, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm staying away. I have tried it and I'm staying away from it for now, at least. I like the technology, but I don't like it as an investment. It's nice to play around with it. But anyway, I'm talking about other things when it comes to investments. And that's sort of like personal goal. And number two, my professional goal, again, is to continue growing in Platzi. And you know what? I'm going to replicate what I did this year. I'm going to sit down with my team, with my colleagues like yourself, my leader, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what's necessary, what needs to be done, what roles do we need in the team and in the company, and then we will kind of go with an action plan. So those are like, let's say, two main kind of objectives for me. But what about you?
Well, that's really cool. That's really cool, Ravis. In my case, well, I think I'm going to get a SMART goal this year for my physical health.
All right.
I really need it. I really need it because that's related to drumming. I want to continue drumming, but drumming is also, it's an activity that requires a very good shape because you can get tired very easily after, like hitting those drums for a minute. And I was just exhausted, like, wow, how can the drummers do this for 2 hours?
It's like a workout.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a really heavy workout. So I really need to work on my physical health. And I noticed this year, like, taking advantage of that experience of paying an annual membership, and is that I realized that I don't like going to the gym anymore. Like, I don't like it. I feel bored there. But that doesn't mean that is the only option that we have to keep fit, to stay healthy.
Well, there's so many things you can do.
Exactly. For example, I discovered that I really enjoy, going jogging. I really like that.
There you go.
and it's really hard. It's also kind of a mental activity, you know, like physical and mental. So I want to set a goal there, you know, going jogging, like I would say twice or three times a week.
Oh, that's
you know,
very achievable.
yeah, and thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support, Ross. And professionally, it's really cool to hear what you mentioned, because I have something very similar in mind, and it's continue growing in the company. It's cool, or it's okay when you get to that time when you say, you know, I think it's enough with what I've done in my current position. So okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's grow in the company.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Agree. Absolutely.
So I'm aiming, like that's one of my objectives, to grow in the company, to move to a different position. And for sure, I hope like in 1 year, we're going to be talking about how we achieved these goals. Ravi, what do you think?
Yeah, I can see us sitting down again and talking about reflecting back on these goals of 2023. And hopefully I would have made some good investment decisions by then. And you would have made some good, you know, physical health decisions by then.
And what we learned, you know, because I think we're going to learn a lot from what we want to achieve.
True. And, you know, I just to kind of make it, you know, clear or clarify something, when I say I go to the gym, honestly, you will not see me kind of pumping weights and things in the gym. No, you know, I use some cardio machines. I do swimming. I love swimming.
Oh.
I use sauna a lot. So, you know, I like sitting in the sauna a lot, at least 2-3 times a week, whenever I can. And then I do some weights, some stretching, you know, some pull-ups, things like that. Just sort of having a variety of things helps, because like you mentioned, you get bored at the gym, right? But then you've got to look at different variety options of things so you don't get bored, and find what excites you, right?
Exactly. And I think that gym example applies for many different cases, you know, and actually for people who are studying English, sometimes people just get like to repeat like the same activities for a lot of time. They just get bored and they don't feel the same motivation after some months. So it's like, hey, it's okay to know that. Like, it's okay to realize, like, all right, like if I continue doing this, I'm gonna get bored. So, hey, I'm gonna explore new alternatives. True. The same as we can explore new alternatives with exercises, the same can happen with exploring new alternatives when learning a new language. So, like, hey, I'm gonna listen to Platzi English Academy podcasts to practice my listening, right?
There you go. always marketing, yeah?
No. I mean it. I mean it. And well, actually, I would like to invite our community, to all the people who are listening to this podcast. What are some of your goals for 2023? So I would like to invite you all to let us know by answering this question in Twitter using the hashtag Platzi English Academy. So, well, Ravis, 2023, a lot of things are going to happen. Any final words that you would like to tell our listeners?
No, I mean, you know, I think we spoke about a lot of things. I think if you take away one thing from this conversation, is make your goals and objectives SMART. That's like the biggest, I think, takeaway from our chat today, Andrew. That, you know, sometimes we make ourselves like, you know, we put unrealistic goals for ourselves, right? So always ask this question: is this a SMART goal or an objective? You know, that's like, I think for me is the biggest takeaway. And number two, don't you know, be afraid to mix things up. You know, mix it up, throw in the variety. You don't have to do the same thing. And if you're getting bored of it, don't think of, you know, stopping it. Think of why is it getting boring? You know, can I change this somehow? Can I throw in another activity in there? Can I take a break? You know, There's so many things you can do. But I can assure you that if your goals are SMART goals and you are following up on them regularly, there are less chances of you giving up or demotivating yourself or anything like that.
All right, Ravis. And actually, I would like to add a third point, like my main takeaway from this chat, and is get things done.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like sometimes we overthink things. It's like, hey, what if I do this, but what is going to happen in the future? Or like we get a lot of thoughts in our mind, lots of excuses, like, hey, you know what? Let's get things done. Let's start.
Let's get it done. Exactly, the execution, absolutely. And I think it's even nicer. Not only, when we set our goals, but also when we share them with people. So I want to know, like, with our community who's listening, what are some of your goals for 2023? And like Andrew said earlier, let us know by answering this question on Twitter. Use the hashtag Platzi English Academy. So we can continue this conversation over there.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that we're going to have like very similar goals in our community, and we can help each other, like giving some tips, giving some recommendations. So, of course, to all our listeners, thank you very, very much for listening to this episode of English in Action, and actually to listen to all the content we produce here from Platzi English Academy. We really appreciate all of you having us as one of your favorite podcasts to practice your English. And of course, we wish you the best for this new year. And don't forget to go to platzi.com/goals and watch a free class.
All right, see you soon.
This was English Academy, Platzi's English podcast. Thanks for listening. Share this podcast if you liked it, and let us know which topics you would like for us to discuss in future episodes by going on Twitter and using the hashtag Platzi English.